Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Knighton Runs podcast. On today's show, I'm talking with my athlete from the Lions, Shelley Aniciete. Shelley's been running for over 20 years. She got started in high school, not on her school's team, but just for going out to have fun and for fitness, something I think is actually kind of rare for a young kid. She's run hundreds of road races, but she's just now starting to focus on improving her times and compete with herself after having been running for decades. She really loves all things fitness and nutrition related. She loves being outside, hiking all around the globe with her husband. She rescues pit bulls, and she is also a coach for runners herself. She spent 17 years as a public defender in the city of Chicago, which she proudly calls home. And on our episode today, I have a great conversation with Shelley just about her own story, about what she's working on now, and how she's, after a few decades, really gotten serious about improving as a runner. She just ran the Chicago Half Marathon and is now gearing up to run the Detroit Marathon. So we get a little bit into that and just have a wide-ranging conversation about running, what she enjoys about it, and what's motivating her after all these years. Hope you enjoy it. Before we get to the interview with Shelley, I just want to say that today's episode is brought to you by the Knighton Runs training group. If you'd like to join my community, follow the training plans that I've created that are based upon the concepts in my book, Run Faster Marathons, and the concepts we talk about all the time on this show, just go to patreon.com/KnightonRuns. You can sign up for the training group with a 7-day free trial and get access to all the plans and get started right away. But what's so great about the community is not only do you get the plans, which you can follow, which are good plans, but you can get support every step of the way. So you can ask questions in the group. I'll chime in and answer them. If you're unsure how to do a certain workout, I'm definitely going to be having you do things that you've never done before. You can actually talk with the coach who created that plan and talk with the other athletes who are working hard on these plans as they work towards their running goals as well. So if you'd like to check it out, there's a 7-day free trial with no obligation. Just go to patreon.com/KnightonRuns and you can sign up and get started today. Hey, Shelley,
Great.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
So, Shelley, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
So I am a Chicagoan. That's where I live and where I've lived most of my life. Very proud of that. I am 42 years old. I'm a lawyer and also a running and fitness coach. I am a rescue dog mom, and I feel like those are kind of the good big bullet points about me.
I'm excited to come visit Chicago this fall. We're going to have to meet up at some point. I feel like
can't wait.
I'm building like a small little group of athletes over in Chicago, and I've never been, but I've heard great things.
Oh, I did not know you had never been. 'Cause I know your wife ran Chicago, right? Didn't she run?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think I just thought you came with her, so I didn't realize you had never been.
I didn't know her at the time. So I actually met my wife in 2017. I think that's right. And she had run her last marathon prior to me meeting her. So when I met her, she was actually a big inspiration for me finally doing a marathon. I was a runner at that point, but hadn't done a marathon. I always wanted to, but just never did it. I met her. She had done Boston. She had done Chicago, and she'd done actually Boston twice. Chicago was her PR, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do one. You seem cool. This seems cool. And that was her fastest race. She ran a PR there, and I'm excited to go this fall to check it out. I've heard great things.
I'm excited you're going to be here, and I'm excited since I'm not running it, I'll be able to go to multiple places on the course to cheer you on. So that's exciting for me.
Yeah, I've heard it's a great spectator course, which is cool.
Yeah.
So you're a Chicagoan. You just ran the Chicago Half Marathon, which is in a different neighborhood than most of the other races, which seems pretty cool. I'm sure we'll get a little bit into that today. But I'd love to just hear a little bit about your background in running. I know you've been running for a really long time, but you reached out to me for coaching, I think in the second half of last year. So we've been working together for a little over 6 months.
Yeah.
But catch us up. How'd you get to be the Shelley you are today?
Yeah. So I've been running since like the mid 90s, 1990s for those Gen Z people that think it's like so long ago, which was high school for me. So I was just always an athlete, not a very good one, but always like being active in sports. And I played high school soccer. And then my senior year, I just was like, I feel like I'm going to be a bench warmer this whole year playing soccer. And I didn't want to do that. And so I quit. I think I just didn't even go to tryouts, or I quit mid tryout. And I was like, well, I still want to be active. I still want to have like a sport. And so I just started running. Like I literally just started running around my neighborhood. I would take like my mom's car and measure out like a 3-mile route and a 6-mile route. Like we didn't have, GPS watches and smartphones and stuff back then. So I would just look at the, like, the speedometer to see how many miles I tracked, and started running those routes. Like I had no idea how fast I was going or how long it would take, but that's what I did. And honestly, like I almost just have not stopped since then. Well, that's sort of a lie, but ever since then I was like hooked on running. I was like, I like this. I can do it wherever I am. I can do it anytime. And I loved the flexibility of that. And I just always loved how I felt running. So yeah, I've been running, I would say, since like 1997. And that's how I began. Just basically running around the neighborhood.
I love that you started in high school because you didn't think you were going to get playing time in soccer. I've actually heard that the most common reason why a kid starts running is because they get cut from another sport.
So it was effectively that. I just didn't wait. Well, I probably would have made the team because my school, like, I would have made the team, but I would not have played very much. And that didn't seem fun to me. So yeah, effectively would have been cut.
Yeah. There's so many great runners out there who probably have never even tried because they just, went to a ball sport and started playing that.
Right. Yep.
But yeah, once you got into it, I mean, tell us a little bit about running in high school.
So
did you do track? Did you do cross country? What was your experience there?
None of it. Like, I think I was on my junior high cross country team for like one meet. Like, this is so long ago. I have a vague memory of like going to one meet and like running in like heavy red, like sweatpants. And like, it was one of those sports like anyone could sign up for. And they're like, hey, you want to come run cross country meet today? And I went to it. And I just remember being like so hot and uncomfortable because I was in sweatpants. And like, that was it. That was my extent of organized team running for real. Like, in junior high. And then high school, when I started running on my own, I literally just ran on my own. I had a good girlfriend in the neighborhood, and sometimes she would come with me and we would run before school, but it was always just on my own, not with a team ever.
That's cool that you were independently motivated to want to go run as a kid. Thinking back to my high school days, like I wasn't active at all. I mean, I'd go out and like play with my friends, play games and be active in that way, but never like any kind of exercise. Can you think back, like where did that drive come from? Or of all things you could do, like high schoolers going out and running with their friends by themselves. I don't hear about that too much.
I think honestly, just because it was so accessible, like you didn't need equipment. You didn't need to make it to a practice. Like I could literally just put my shoes on and go out the door. And I truly think that was a big part of it. There was no barrier to entry, if you will. Like it was just, I want to run. Okay, go run. And I can't really explain it beyond that other than I've just always intrinsically enjoyed running and I liked it. And so I kept doing it. I don't think I ran a race or even knew that there were like organized races until maybe like 5, 6, 7 years later. So it was never about like hitting a certain time or speed or pace. It was just, this feels really good. And like either before school or after school, that would be my thing. Some people will go to soccer practice, some people will go to their like part-time job, and I would be like, I'm going to go for a run. And I, would hold back then we had those like huge clunky Walkmans. Like they were at you. This might be like a little before your time when we had a Walkman to go running, and we would make mixtapes. And so that was always exciting to me. I'd like made a new mixtape and I'm going to go listen to my music and go for a run. And I think, high school is really hard. It's hard to be a teenager. And I think that was always a really good, just like escape from the nonsense of high school, was to go and do that on my own, which is still the same today. Like I'm mostly a solo runner. I like to go out and just like be on my own and go run my miles. So I think all of that played into it.
I love that. And it's so cool that you discovered that you enjoy just going out and running at a young age. I think so many of us find that later in life, which is definitely not a bad thing. But yeah, like I didn't really start running until my mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd probably be a pretty different person if I found it younger, but I guess things worked out okay.
Yeah.
I never had a Walkman, but I did have an old CD player that had like a 5-second buffer time.
Yeah.
So I remember riding the school bus, and if we went down a bumpy road, it would start skipping, but it would have 5 seconds where it would like remember the music. So as long as the bumps lasted less than 5 seconds, it wouldn't skip. But it still skipped a lot.
For me, that was like the Discman era. That was in like college law school for me. So again, because I ran in college, I ran in law school just on my own, and holding the Discman, and if you held it tight enough, it wouldn't skip. So I would like go on these runs and hold it so tight, I would have like a hand cramp after. But like these are very vivid memories I have, just making it work. Like, well, I'm going to go for my run, and if this is the device that I need to like hold on to, that's what I did. So yeah.
That's crazy. Could you tell us a little bit about your background in racing? You said it took you, 5 or 6 years to kind of figure out if that was a thing, but eventually you decided to do it. And, I know you've raced a ton of road races going back over a decade. What made you want to take that step and focus on it? Was it a competitive drive? Was it just for fun?
It's so funny because I think I'm just now realizing how non-competitive I've been most of my life, until like recently I'm just becoming competitive with myself. But no, my very first race, it was, I think, there could be something I'm forgetting, but I think it was the race to the Taste. That's the Taste of Chicago. And it was just a 5K like charity run. And I'm thinking this was maybe somewhere between 1998 and 2000, like somewhere around. So like, we're like 23 years of memory is a little fuzzy, but it was just one of those things. Like my friend was like, oh, do you want to go do this? Because, we would like go to the Taste of Chicago, and do you want to go run this race before we go to the Taste of Chicago? And I was like, sure. Like, it was literally like, looking back, such not a big deal. It was just like, yeah, let's sign up and do it. I think we had chip times back then, like when the chips that would go on your shoe. Like I do remember getting a time. I have no idea what it was. And that was it. And it was just like, oh, that was really fun. Didn't care about, I didn't have anything really to compare it to. I wasn't like trying to beat an old 5K time. It was just, let's go run. I remember that race. My second one, I'm pretty sure, was a turkey trot I ran in college, like near a college campus, with one of my friends in college who we would run together just for fun. And she was from the area where I went to college. And she was like, oh, let's come run this turkey trot with me. Again, it was like, I probably didn't even have a watch. I had no idea what my time was going to be. And it was just like, okay, yeah, I'll go run that. This will be fun. So those were my first, and that would have been somewhere between 98 and 2002. And then in 2000, no, 2001 or 2002. And then 2001, I actually was the first time I trained for a race. And that was the 2001 Chicago Marathon. So I guess I went from like just sort of a lazy 5K to a turkey trot to being like, oh yeah, let me sign up for a marathon. Like ignorance is really bliss sometimes. But I did not run that marathon because I got injured 2 weeks out. Like I broke my foot. So, yeah, but from that point on, I just ran, like, again, not very structured or anything. I would just go out and run. Usually it was like I would run like 6 miles a day. Like that was just what I did. And then that takes us to my life, I feel like, is broken down into like school and then after school. Then I went to law school from 02 to 05. And during that time, I continued to run just again on my own and ran my first half marathon. So that would have been between 2002 and 2005. And that I trained for, like I used like one of the, like a Hal Higdon, a runner's world plan. I ran the La Jolla half marathon and I loved it. And it was great. But again, it wasn't about a time or pace. It was just, I run and I can do this, so I'm going to do it. Yeah. So that was probably my first like official race I ever trained for.
At some point, you started caring a little bit more about your times, though. And for some reason, you eventually ended up reaching out to me. And,
yes.
We just, you just trained really, really hard for the Chicago half marathon. When did that switch flip and you're like, starting to care a little bit more about time and performance?
I think it honestly didn't flip until right around when I reached out to you. So we're talking like a good 20 something years of running, not really caring that much about pace and time. Like for sure during the last huge chunk of years of running, I ran a ton of races and I would like be a little competitive with myself, be like, oh, like I want to run this faster than I did last year or something like that. But it was never the driving force. And then when I trained for the Chicago Marathon last year, the whole training process for me was just about covering the miles, just getting it in, because this comes off of a pretty long time off of running. And so I was like, I'm just going to run this. I'm just going to do what I can. I did not care about my pace or time. I just didn't want to get injured. And then I got through the whole training cycle, ran it, and then something just kind of went off where I was like, you know what? You've been running for a really long time and you really enjoy it. Maybe you can get better at it. And once I sort of just had that thought and started looking back at like all these years of running and racing and realizing like literally my pace was like the same for like 2 decades. All of a sudden I was like, okay, I want to see what I can do about this. And that it, for no reason other than just to sort of challenge myself. And that's why I reached out to you. I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring. If you can, let me know, because she's really loud right now.
I can't hear.
Okay, I don't want it to be like picked up on the podcast.
No worries. I can always edit this section out too to keep it flowing, or not, because it's funny. People like the comments. So you were running for a really long time. I mean, many, many years, kind of doing the same thing, just going out there and running. It's kind of how I often describe it. But then you decided, let's be a little bit more intentional. Let's start putting more variety into my training, see how good I can get. And I remember when you reached out to me, like I was really excited, Shelley, because that's exactly the description of the type of person who I like to help. I mean, that was really my story too. And like, I had no real formal background training in sports or high school or college or anything like that. Kind of figured it out on my own. But then it was when I reached out to a coach that she taught me how to actually train like an athlete and start to do all these different things. So like, I'm just curious for you, were there new types of practices, new elements to your training that you added in once you started training with me? Like things that you had never done before, or maybe did once or twice, but didn't do regularly or never took seriously?
For sure. So the speed work, I can't say it was brand new to me because my training cycle for Chicago last year did have 1 day a week of speed work, but that was the first time I'd ever done any structured speed work. And it was structured, but not like super structured. And so working with you, certainly now we do 2 days of speed work. They're pretty structured. And like, I went into, when you start adding them, like feeling like I didn't even know like what 400 meters was. Like those were, like kind of foreign things to me. So that's kind of how minimal my knowledge and experience was with speed work. But so definitely the speed work has been probably the newest and biggest change. And I really love doing the speed work. Like it's challenged me in a whole other way. Like I get like nervous to do it, like as if I'm going out for a race, but then every single time I feel it makes me feel so much more accomplished than probably any other type of running because I never did it before. So that's definitely been a big change. And then just the amount of days running, like last year, I went from 3 to 4 days and had kind of told myself this narrative that if I ran more days a week, I'd get injured, or ran back to back, I would get injured because I had come off of a really long time of like chronic injuries. And then you just like kind of kept sneaking in extra days on my training plan. And suddenly we were up to 6. And at first I was like, I can't believe he's asked me to run 6 days. And I just did it because I'm always like, well, just try it. And if it's, terrible, then you'll let him know. And all of a sudden that just became the new norm. And now that we've like cut a couple days out, I'm like, wait, what am I going to do with myself? Before we build back up. So those two are the biggest, is just the number of days running, the speed work, and then also really taking easy days easy and having that differentiation between what an easy day is and a not easy day is. Because I used to pretty much just always run the same speed no matter what every day. So yeah, those 3 things.
That's cool. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying the speed work too.
Yeah.
And that sense of being a little bit nervous before it. I still get that too. Like that doesn't necessarily go away, but the more and more weeks and months and training blocks that you string together where, you do the workouts, you always feel great after you've done them. And hopefully they're appropriately designed so that like they're hard, but they're not going to crush you. Like I never try to make them too hard. I find I build a lot of confidence from that. Has that been your experience too? Like, do you feel like the workouts help prepare you for the races?
1,000% in so many ways. For sure. Mentally, just like, I tell myself like so many crazy things when I go to do these things like that, like I overthink them and then I do them. And I'm like, okay, like what was the big deal? Why were we so worked up about it? And so that's really helped me, just because I do them twice a week, to like know how to talk myself off that ledge almost and be like, why are you thinking like this? Like, you've survived every other one of them. Like, why wouldn't we survive today? And then also just like being super real, like, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? You run slower than expected. And if that's the worst that can happen, why are we so upset about it? So that whole thought process has been really helpful to me, just not just in running, but like in life itself. Just that spills over. Like, why are we catastrophizing these things in our head? We're talking about a speed workout and you get through it and you just proved yourself you could. And if you didn't like crush it, then you realize, okay, like that's fine too. Like, we move on.
Yeah. I like putting these challenging elements into training because it like gives you things to focus on throughout the course of the week, like, and little like goals to accomplish throughout the course of the week. So like, if say you have the 2 speed workouts per day, per week, then you really know where you're placing your emphasis. So maybe you're running 6 days a week, but you know that, you know, 3 of those days are going to be like recovery runs. I literally just tell you, go jog, enjoy yourself, take it super easy. One day is the long run, which we do the long run pretty easy. So once you get comfortable with the distance, it's generally pretty fun too. And then it's like, okay, you just have these 2 hard speed days to really focus on.
Totally. The speed work has made me not even like think about the long run at the end of the week, because that literally is just like easy peasy, almost, relatively speaking. And it's like once I get through Thursday, I'm like, oh, the rest of these miles are no big deal. And the long runs honestly seem really, I mean, there's always going to be some difficult long runs, but do seem a lot easier, because it's like compared to the track workouts or speed workouts, these now seem just like long, enjoyable miles. So that's kind of cool how that's happened too.
Yeah. And there's so much variety in how you can approach it too. Like, you know, we just trained for the half marathons. We took a certain style, certain approach to the types of workouts you do and the flow of the week. But now as we transition to you training for the Detroit Marathon later this year, you know, it's going to be a very different style of training. So as we get into it there, you know, we are going to start to emphasize the long run. Actually, the long run is going to become your most important workout of the week. And some of them will be hard. Some of them will be comfortable pace. But that's kind of one of the fun things about getting onto a structured training plan where you're working towards a specific goal. And there's just, you know, you're changing what you're doing continuously depending on what you're working towards and, you know, the specific events. I know you messaged me earlier today. We were talking about the Detroit Marathon, and is it hillier than where you live, or is it not? I don't know if you read my email yet.
I did. I wrote you back.
Looks fairly flat to me. I haven't seen your response.
So,
but if there is hills, we'll plan around that.
Okay. Well, I think this is a 2-parter response. Yes, it's relatively flat, but you have to really understand how flat it is here in Chicago. And you will really understand it when you run it. And then when you get to the last 400 meters and there's a hill here, all of a sudden you're going to be like, okay, now I realize how flat the last like 26 miles was, because the hill in the Chicago Marathon, I don't know if you know about this, is literally just like an overpass, but it feels like a mountain. And I'm only emphasizing this because like that's literally how flat it is here, that an overpass feels like a mountain at the end of the marathon. So it just, to me, I do overthink a lot of things, but I'm like, okay, if it's going to be hilly at all, I want to at least mentally feel like I've put in some reps. Then the other thing is, there is the Ambassador Bridge, from what I understand, is like kind of a long, slopey incline. And you replied about that it was like over a long course, like maybe over a mile. So it's pretty gradual. And then there's another incline after you get out of like this tunnel. So again, maybe they are small for people who run on hills regularly, but for me, I just don't want to feel like I didn't put in some sort of training, even if it's just for my, you know, mindset and being like, oh, I've run inclines, I've run hills in training, I can do this. But yeah, I don't think it's a hilly course. I just want to be ready for the 2 hills, if you will.
So can we dig into it here?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I'm of the mindset that runners should run over hills pretty much as possible. This is definitely a challenge for people who live in flat cities. I coach a lot of people in downtown Boston who never get out of the downtown area. I coach people in Chicago, which is a very flat area. But seeking out hilly routes and incorporating hills in the course of your runs is really, really beneficial for a lot of different reasons. So what can a flatlander like you, Shelley, do? Where are there bridges? Are there any parks?
Well, there's a couple things for me and for people who live like in the city. When we're talking about Chicago, I'm talking like in the city, not in like the out, you know, sort of like the outlying areas where there might be more hills. So the 606 is a running path it's only like, I think it's like 2.5 miles end to end. But that's where I do most of my speed work because there's no traffic up there. It's just, it's like an elevated route. And there are some hills there. Like that's as kind of rolling hilly as we get. So I do try and go there. And then there's like one hill in one of the parks by the lake that for me is about a 15-20 minute drive without traffic to get to. I like running hills because I've run flat for so much of my time. I actually really enjoy running hills, and I like when I get to places that are like rolling hills, but there is a good amount of like having to plan and seek it out from where I live if I want to actually get hills in, because there truly aren't any. Or doing like ramps, like on and off ramps. That is something that I've done before too. But of course, you just be careful with traffic.
Yeah. So the 606, I had to just look it up, but now that I see the route, I'm remembering. Yeah, you run this a lot. I just didn't realize this was like an elevated path. So since it's elevated, I'm familiar. New York City has something like this.
Yes.
I forget what it's called.
The High Line.
The High Line. Yeah. So is it kind of like that where it's like a park or a path that's elevated, but you said that there is some up and down on it?
Yeah. So it's an elevated end to end, but there are, I mean, again, this is relatively speaking, it's hilly compared to the rest of the city. And it's not hilly, it's just there are some
undulation.
Yeah. And then because it's elevated, the on-off ramps to get onto it, like that is somewhere that I have done hill repeats, but it's more of like maybe a 30-second sprint up, not like a minute or 5 minutes.
Yep. So and you run here a lot. So can you run here from your house?
Yes. If from my house, it's less than a mile.
Okay, cool. So this would be my suggestion. I think for the folks listening who, when you're conceptualizing, like, where am I going to do certain types of training or get in certain types of workouts? This, I think, is a great place for you to do your marathon speed workout. So I know you said you did a lot of your half marathon workouts here, but when we get into marathon training, I'm going to have you do a style of workout that I think is different than, it's a little bit different than anything that you did for the half. So I'm going to have you do quite a bit of both marathon paced running, but also slightly faster than marathon paced running, more closer to half marathon pace for extended periods of time. So it'll be things like, let's say, 4 times a mile at 10 seconds faster than marathon pace, or about half marathon pace, or 2 times 2 miles at that same speed. Or maybe it'll be something like 6 to 10, or maybe midweek could be like 6 to 8 miles at marathon pace. I think certainly for those interval workouts where you're going faster than marathon pace, you could do that on this. And if you're running on a slightly undulating path faster than marathon pace, you should be developing the type of strength that you need for Detroit. For the longer runs, I'm going to get you doing kind of alternating between easy long runs and then long runs that include some faster running in them. So that could be, if we decide you want to target like a specific marathon time, that could be like, hey, do a big chunk of this long run at that marathon pace. So it could be a 16 miler with the middle 10 at like a chosen marathon pace. Mm-hmm. Or it could be something like 16 miles just at like a strong, fast pace. I like that style of workout when you're not too specific on like running a very specific time. You just want to go run a hard long run. Either way, if you could incorporate some undulation over that would be really great too. Do you think that this trail would work well for at least the interval portion? Do you think you'd getting enough climbing on this for Detroit?
I do, because because of the ramps. I would say the path itself, there are some nice inclines and dips, but kind of, I think, harder to plan around when you're going to hit them in the court on your run. But with the ramps, I think, are really helpful for that. And then also, I guess, if just going along the course when there are, inclines and dips, if that's like where you want to push it or not push it, I guess incorporating that. So for the long runs, that's a little harder because most of my long runs are going to be along the lakefront because I do them with the group, and the lakefront is pretty flat other than, again, like certain bridges and stuff. But I guess that could be somehow weaved in as well.
One of the things that I really like to do with my long runs is kind of alternate between a flat long run and a hilly long run. So probably the types of long runs that I'll give you, like I was just saying, it'll sort of alternate between a slow long run and a fast long run. And, the fast long runs, those ones could be great to do on the lakefront because you can just kind of lock into a fast speed, whether it's a specific pace or just a general sense of a fast long run, and just, let the miles click by. I like to do that. But then for some of your longest runs, I like to almost have those be a bit more like adventurous, where you're not really worried about your pace, but maybe you're just like exploring the city and connecting a bunch of cool places. So I know it does sound like Chicago is pretty flat, but maybe there's ways that like you can do this trail we're talking about, and then maybe there's like another park that you can go to or somewhere else, and then you can go to some other spot, and then maybe you can come back and you do this trail again, and just like link together interesting things over the course of a long run.
Yeah. I mean, if I can make it work, I certainly will. I mean, I like doing that too. I really like going to different parts of the city on my runs because I run every mile of this city so many times. So to me, that is like a fun thing. I feel like I did a good job of that this winter, even though the runs weren't as long as my long runs. I changed up my route quite a bit. Yeah, instead of just going to the lake every weekend.
And then there's one other thing that I don't love, but is always an option for getting in hills, and that's running on a treadmill.
Right. It was like, if I absolutely had to, I would, but I really don't like the treadmill because part of why I love running is I love being outside. And so to me, like, the treadmill is like, there's nothing about it that's appealing to me other than it serves a very specific purpose. But if I'm like, running inside, to me doesn't even feel like running because it's so, I don't know, being outside is a big part of what I enjoy about running.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And I am in 100% agreement. I've run like 1 mile on a treadmill in the past year, and do not want to. But I think you'll be good because you mentioned that there's like the short inclines. I give a bunch of like short hill strides and short hill sprints. Those do develop a lot of strength, especially if you do them regularly, like once a week or so. And, I'll have you continue to do that kind of thing once a week or so throughout training. And you just want to make sure that you don't run on like pancake flat surfaces. Whenever there is the opportunity to seek out hilly courses and undulations, go for it. If there's I don't know Chicago super well, but if you can run like, if there's any like parks or like even like trails or grassy areas or dirt trails, that kind of thing that you can get on that even are just a little bit different than flat, smooth pavement. I think that's.
Yeah, there's actually some really nice trails that go from the city all the way up to the suburbs. And that's something that I used to do and just haven't because it just means like planning more ahead. But I agree. I think that's important and good, and also helps break up some of the monotony of just like long, sweaty summer runs to go somewhere else that has like, some of it's crushed gravel, some of it's paved, but it's more trail like.
Yeah. I've been making a big emphasis to do just that with my own Chicago Marathon training. This is the first marathon that I've trained for in a year and a half, and I'm excited to do it, but for a while, I was kind of I wasn't super excited about training for a marathon again. Just running that far, racing that far wasn't that's super exciting to me.
Mhm.
I was really enjoying doing 5K and 10K, and I was kind of running for like more than 2 hours in training, and I just didn't want to do that. But I found in Rhode Island there's a really great dirt road trail network, which is awesome. And I just started going to it. I've done my past 2 long runs there, and I've done like a 12-mile long run both times. I can definitely do 20 plus miles there, all on dirt roads. It's awesome. And it's like a 40-minute drive to get there, but it's so worth it because it's like I'm looking forward to going to do it each week. It's beautiful. I love being in the woods like that. And the dirt surface is like super nice. Much nicer than just running on pavement. And
do you bring your own water, or are there water fountains there?
I'm gonna start doing loops. So for the 12-mile runs, I haven't needed water yet, but as it starts to get hotter, I'm gonna start to make loops. So like if I did a 20-mile run, for example, I can already think like there's probably like there's several 5-ish mile loops that I could do. So I could keep coming back to the car.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I really like to, I'm not a fan of carrying stuff when I run. I think that obviously there's a lot of people do that and like for good reason. And sometimes I bring a water bottle too, but like, if you can avoid it, you want to look like, it's just, I just love the feeling of being unencumbered running with like nothing. And ultimately when you get to a race, I always encourage people like use the water stops, don't bring anything. The course is set up and the aid stations are set up so you don't need to bring stuff and you can run unencumbered. So I like to train that way too when I can.
Yeah, last summer I trained with a handheld and I got like so tired of doing it, but it was like I trained with it and actually ran Chicago with it and it was fine. And then I lost the one that I had ran with all summer, and it was like I felt like I'd like lost a part of my soul, and like that was like my water bottle. And so for Indianapolis, I ordered a new one and I ran with it, and it leaked on me like for the first 10 miles, and finally I just ditched it. And like from that point forward, I'm like, I don't want to run with water anymore. So, I mean, for instance, for the Chicago half, I stopped at every single water station and then some, because there were like just some neighbors out with like water and stuff. And I felt a lot better, like you said, just unencumbered, and like it's okay to stop at the water stations. Like you're not ruining your race by doing that. And it felt a lot better to not have to carry it and be able to stop and then just keep going. So I think I've converted, other than if I'm going to go to a trail or something, obviously then you need to plan.
Right.
Around that.
Right. As you're just getting into now your Detroit marathon training, you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, what are you looking forward to this summer and fall, and why Detroit? Why'd you pick this one?
So, well, answer the easy question is why Detroit? Because I applied to Chicago again and didn't get in through the lottery. And I love traveling. My husband and I love to travel. And so I was like, well, I could fundraise and get in, but like there's so many other races, go somewhere else. So that was it. And then it just felt, because it's the week after Chicago, it really falls in line with a lot of what people out here train for. It's nice to have like that community and everyone sort of doing their long runs at the same time. So that's why I wanted to pick one that was close in time to Chicago. And I've never been to Detroit, and it's easy to get to. And I read reviews and it's cool. You go into Canada and come back, and why not? So that again wasn't like a big thought out decision. It made sense. And then as far as starting to train for it, I'm just excited. Like I love having a coach. I love having you as my coach. I love just seeing like what's coming up and having like new things to try out. Like again, going back to like day one of running, I just really like running. So I'm just looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, trying out new speed work, trying out new ways to do long runs. Like, it's just exciting. And like, it feels like this is going to sound so corny, but it almost feels like Christmas. Like when I see you've like uploaded like my runs for the next 2 weeks, like I always go in and look, like I get like super excited to go like peek ahead, like, oh, what do we have coming up? It's just exciting and fun. And, life as an adult can be like hard and boring and all those things at times. And then like if I'm having a hard day at work, I'm always like, but you get to go home and run. And so it just continuously feels like a gift and something exciting. And it just so happens to be that we're working towards a marathon, but I just really love the process. Like sometimes I'm like, I think I enjoy the process of running more than the races. Like the races are fun because, you feel so good after and you see your friends and it's like, people are so happy, but like, I just love the process, period. Yeah.
That's cool. And it shows, that's a great mindset to have. Like there's running can be really tough. And like, sometimes you take 2 steps forward, there's 1 step back. Sometimes like, we know it, like Chicago half is a super hot day. And, sometimes the outcomes are outside of your control a little bit because the weather and things like that. Yeah. So you got to absolutely love the process, like for every 99 days that you run in training, maybe you do 1 race. So You got to find ways to really enjoy at least most of those 99 days. Some days are going to suck and you're not going to enjoy them, but you just got to do them anyway.
Yeah. But, and even when they suck, it's like, okay, but afterwards to me, I learned so much more from like the really hard sucky days than from the ones that went really well. You don't really glean a whole lot from, oh, like that felt so easy. You glean a whole lot more from like, okay, what went wrong? And maybe nothing went wrong. Maybe it was just like an off day. But
totally.
I mean, just going back to the Chicago half, like for people listening, like I didn't even come close to sort of what I had hoped to run in that race. And going into it, I had really wanted to hit like certain goals and whatever. And then we even changed my goal a couple weeks out to make it more attainable. And like, I didn't even come close to that. And if you had asked me the night before, like, how will you feel if you don't hit your race goal? I would have been like, oh, I think I'm going to be really upset, blah, blah, blah. And then I went and ran it, didn't even come close. And I'm like, that's okay. Like it again, like, I don't know what I can't even say I was even disappointed in retrospect because I felt like I gave it everything I could. So like, I think that's a lesson that's sort of hard to articulate, that a lot of times we think we're going to be so disappointed and upset. And then you do it and you're like, okay, that's just kind of part of life. I don't know. Maybe that's just me not being as competitive as some people, but I wasn't like mad at myself after not hitting my race goal. I just was like, okay, like let's move on. In my line of work as the public defender, we say, call the next case. And like, that seems very appropriate to this. It's like, okay, like call the next run. Like, what are we doing next?
Totally. Yeah. And, you took a little break and now we're kind of refocusing on Chicago, and we've been talking about doing some tune-up races to get you ready for that. Yeah. I think, though you didn't quite hit the time goal that you had for Chicago half, there's a lot of really great positive things that came out of that. And, just from our conversation today, like it's clear to me that you feel like you've grown and improved and you've really been enjoying your running in the past 6 months or so. And that is definitely a win. So like sometimes, a race doesn't go exactly as you hope, but that doesn't mean that everything that you've been doing is for naught. And like, you're definitely so much far ahead. Absolutely so much further ahead than you were 6 months ago. Like, and now as you enter Chicago training, all the fitness, all the skills, good habits that you build over the last 6 months, you already have those as you enter Chicago. So now, you can just kind of continue to do what you've been doing. You can get even better at those things. You can maybe add in other elements, or now that certain things have become easy to you, like getting out there and doing the speed work, maybe there's other aspects of your life or your running that you can tweak a little bit to improve. And when you kind of layer successful season after successful season, and these things just become good habits, like you just incrementally get better and better as time goes on, and figure out like how to best fit running into your life and all that. So I'm excited for what you've got coming up with Detroit. Got some cool tune-up races to keep you motivated along the way that you're just finalizing. And I think we'll figure out how to conquer the hilly, not so hilly course of Detroit together.
Okay, fair enough.
Really good. But we're getting near the end of the hour here. So to start to wrap things up, how could folks reach out to you, Shelley, if you do want anyone to reach out to you? And are there any projects you're working on, either locally or that people afar can connect with that you'd like to plug?
So probably the easiest way is on Instagram. That's where I have like my Instagram account is over the last year really turned into more of like a running account. So if you want to, I don't know, I like to do like tips and reels, and I keep it pretty light there. And then if you're in my stories, it's basically running and my dog. So, if you like dogs and running, it's Shelley _Aniciete _fitness, or just search for me, Shelley Aniciete, on there, because my handle might change. Or email, if anyone feels like emailing me, it's just shelleyanichete@gmail. So I am a running and nutrition and fitness coach. I have certifications in all of them. I've sort of been tinkering around with what my coaching looks like and where I want to take it. But always happy to talk to people who feel like they might click with me, or just want, someone to talk running with. Like, I will totally nerd out about running with you if you want. And then I also co-coach an in-person group Saturday mornings for people training for fall marathons. And that is with, if you want to find her, the woman who is the main coach, she's the Marathon Whisperer on Instagram. That's Denise, and I'm always bad at pronouncing her last name, but she's run like 160 marathons and does in-person and virtual training, and just a good person to know. And she'll make you run a marathon even if you don't want to. So you can find me with her on Saturday mornings on the lakefront.
Cool. And I will link to all three of those things in the show notes for this podcast, so you can just click those there if you're listening to it. Awesome, Shelley. Thanks for coming on, telling us a little bit about your story and what you're working on this summer. Excited to come visit Chicago for the first time this fall. And I'll probably be reaching out to you to figure out like what would be like a good meetup spot for a Lions event, maybe before or after the race. We're going to have a pretty big group of teammates there. I'd have to count them up, but I mean, maybe close. I mean, if we include you and some of the others in the local area, like we might have as many as 10 folks there this fall. So,
nice. Yeah.
It'd be fun to do a
definitely
little
help
something.
You. I know, I'm sure Tenny will be excited to meet you. And I'm still not sure what marathon he's running, if any, but we'll be here ready to help you navigate the city. So
thanks. Cool. My wife and I are going to stay for couple of days after as well. We're going to try to make it a little bit more of a vacation. So I think we got 2 nights sort of downtown by the race start. And then I think we're going to go north a little bit, I think to Lincoln Park neighborhood. Oh, we got a hotel there for like 2 or 3 nights.
That's like great. Race. Yeah, that's perfect. The race runs through Lincoln Park too. So
cool. Yeah, we figured be in 2 different areas. Just
I love it.
We're going to have our baby and be on foot. So might as well try to see as much of the city as we can.
But please, any and all questions about staying, traveling, let me know. Cool. I do consider myself a professional Chicagoan, so happy to help you sort any of that out.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelley. Well, it's been great coaching you so far, and I'm excited for everything we got coming up ahead. Thanks again for coming on, and I will end the recording and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Have a great afternoon.
All right, so that's the episode. Hope you enjoyed it today. Before I go, I'm just going to leave you with 3 ways that you can become a better runner today. So first, be sure to check out my book, Run Faster Marathons, The Proven Path to PR. You can get that on Amazon in paperback or Kindle format, or if you'd like to get a free downloadable ebook copy, you can go to knightonruns.com and sign up for my newsletter. Number 2, if you'd like to download the training plans that I've created for the marathon and all road race distances, go to patreon.com/knightonruns. You can join the Knighton Runs training group with a free 7-day trial, download the training plans, and then if you'd like to get support for your training throughout the process, you can maintain your membership with the group and get help from me and my community at every twist and turn throughout training. And number 3, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one for coaching, check out my website at knightonruns.com/coaching to learn all about it and get started. You can sign up right away if it seems like a good fit for you, or if you'd like to set up a time to chat with me about how it works and see if we'd make a good team, you can set that up there as well at knightonruns.com. If you enjoyed today's show, just make sure that you're subscribed. That way you get the next episode. And if you want to do me a favor, I'd really appreciate it if you'd share this with a friend or leave a review on your listening player. That really helps a ton in just getting this into the ears of other folks who might benefit from it and like it as well. All right, until next time, I hope your running is going well and have a good day. Bye.